Hello friends and welcome, it's wonderful to have you here. I'm Morjax, and today we are looking at Phase 5 or Update 4 of Mordheim City of the Damned, and particularly what we're looking at is the Cult of the Possessed now have mutations. Yes, they do. So I have counted 18 of them, and I would like to show you all of them. It'll take a little bit of time here. There is a, you can see right here in the towards the bottom left, there's a respec, which is delete. That is only available during the early access here for people to play around with. So I'm going to be definitely spamming that to cycle through those who do have mutations so that we can get a chance to see them all. So I'm just going to verbally run through them here, and then I'm going to show you each of them so you can see the stats. So for arms, there is extra limb mace, extra limb blade, extra limb axe, which all to me make pretty good sense. There is Piercer and Slicer, which are both sword hands. Destroyer and Executioner, you can see right here we've got Executioner, that's an axe hand. Another thing that's new is you can actually rotate the units now, so you can get a good look, and you can see that his hand is in fact an axe. There's a Club hand, which is either Smasher or Crusher. There's another one, Ripper, that is Lobster hand, and I think that one's pretty rare. I've only rolled it a couple of times. In terms of what you can have on your head, or I'm sorry, this is your torso. You can get the eye, or you can get Thousand Eyes, which we have here. You can see there's eyeballs all over his torso. And let me actually, I'm going to go ahead through these ones here while we have it. Executioner is modified the statistic of the armband equipped, and it does a poison, which if they don't resist it, it reduces their armor absorption here. And I'm going to be crossing these off my list, so I make sure to hit them all. Pardon me. Next is Thousand Eyes, and that's, like I said, a torso mutation. Increases melee and ranged resistance by 10%. And this is another one that I think is rare. I've only rolled it a couple of times out of many times that I've respec'd, which is Demon Soul. And this is a head mutation. You can see he's got, it looks like he's got little blowtorch things coming out of his eyeballs there. Demon Soul is immune to All Alone, and increase magic resistance by 25%. So that in and of itself is pretty dang good in my mind. So I'm going to keep cycling through here. I've got a couple of varieties. Here's another rare one. I'm sorry, I got derailed on my whole list, but we will go through all of them, rest assured. Next is this rare one, Ripper. You can see he's got this badass claw hand. Looks freaking awesome. So Ripper modifies the statistic of the armband equipped. On dealing melee damage, applies a poison that, if not resisted by the victim, reduces its critical resistance. So Ripper is a claw, and it reduces crit resistance when you, if they don't resist the poison. Here's the only other torso mutation that I've found. It's called the Eye. It increases initiative by 10% and critical resistance by 10% as well. This is a freaking creepy one. This is a head mutation. It's called Featureless Face. You can see he's just got a kind of this insignia burnt onto his face here, and perception doesn't cost strategy points anymore. Perception is performed with a 20% bonus. So that Featureless Face, I personally am not a huge fan of the perception bonus, but hey, if it's free at a 20% boost, why wouldn't you? I happen to roll Demon Soul again on this guy here. I'm cycling through because I've gotten a number of them on different people in the warband. So next up here is Crusher. You can see that club is nicely integrated into his arm. And what Crusher does, I'm crossing off my list, Crusher modifies the statistic of the armband equipped, just like all the arm mutations. And the poison, if it's not resisted, reduces their poison resistance, which seems kind of redundant, but if you've got a whole warband with Possessed that they all have this mutation, these hand mutations, they're all rolling poison checks, so that Crusher actually might be pretty good. Executioner is a poison. If it's not resisted, it reduces the armor absorption, and in fact we already did that one. So let's move onward. Here's one of the sword. You can see the sword is integrated nicely into his arm. This is Piercer. Piercer is again a poison, and it reduces the ranged resistance. Now here's another one. You can see his head. He actually has two faces. So Extra Face is a head mutation, and Extra Face gives you increased dodge attempts by 15%, and likewise for parry attempts. We actually have 2 head mutations on this guy. He's got a crown of bones. You can see he's got a little spiky rim going on there. That increases the morale of the unit by 5, and it increases the stun resistance by 50%, which is dramatic if I didn't find stun resistance underwhelming to begin with, but I do. So let us see. We've already seen Crusher. Now we also have Smasher on this guy, so he's got both of his arms are in fact clubs. That's disgusting. You can see the bones. You can see the bones on this side too. That's disgusting. We hated it though. So this applies a poison. If it is not resisted, it reduces the stun resistance. So one of them is stun resistance, and the other is poison resistance. Both of those, well, I like the Crusher. I like poison resistance, specifically because a lot of these guys are going to have these mutations. But the stun resistance is kind of meh. And this guy does have claw feet. You can see his little chicken feet down there, scurrying around. Silly. This increases the chance to succeed at climb, leap, and jump down by 10%, which is small, but I guess, you know, it's free. Increases base movement by 2 meters, which is, I think, pretty good. Mobility is important in this game. You can surround your enemies better, you can clump your guys back up if they're spread out, lots of things, so movement is a good thing. It also increases movement during a charge or ambush by an extra 2 meters. So if you're charging or ambushing, you actually have 4 meters extra. You get a base movement boost of 2 and an ambush/charge boost of 2 more. So, that is the Claw, and the Claw is the only one I've seen so far that is a foot mutation. Let me see if I've got other ones here. We've got extra face. This guy doesn't have any, that guy doesn't have any. Just cycling through. Oh, here's our, perfect, here's our impressive unit. You can see this is one of the extra limbs. And like I said, there's one for Mace, Blade, and Axe. This is the one for Mace. And the it says melee attacks of the warrior benefits from the following modifiers. Deal an extra 10% damage. Reduce parry or dodge chances of the victim by 10%. Increases chances to hit in melee by 10%. So it's not actually another extra hit. It's kind of a boost to your existing hit. Piercer we have seen. And Thousand Eyes we have also seen. So I'm going to have to start rolling here. We've got maybe a third of them left, so I'll see you shortly, friends. Yes, here we have the infamous extra limb axe. So this looks freaking badass. There's kind of a cluster going on at his shoulder, but he has a mace for an arm and an extra limb axe. So extra limb axe is it also deals a extra 10% damage, reduces the parry or dodge chances by 10%, and bypasses 10% of armor. I like armor bypass pretty well, so I'm a fan of extra limb axe. We already saw this crown of bones, though I gotta say it looks way more badass on this guy than the other guy we saw it for. So I will go ahead and pause and see you when we roll up another one. Well, you know what? No, let's go ahead and roll. I want to show you what that looks like. So it says Revert Progression, confirming will refund all skills, spells, and attribute points and revert the unit to its original state, available only during early access. So we'll go ahead and do that. We got Piercer, we got Clawfoot, we got Demon Soul. Let's do it again. I'll keep you on board until we find one we haven't seen. Here's one, Destroyer. We haven't done Destroyer yet. Now that is it modifies the armband that he's wearing. Let me show you here. Oh my gosh, look at that badass. He's got a club. He's got an axe. Fully integrated, baby. So the axe does a poison which reduces the melee damage dealt. So Destroyer I like quite a bit. It's a really good way to basically dumb down your enemy, any melee that you're up against. If you got a couple of guys with Destroyer and you attack, you can get a few attacks off on their impressive unit, you're reducing their melee damage dealt every single time. So actually, if you have this Destroyer, and I think the other one was Crusher, which was an axe hand, they're more susceptible to poison and reducing their melee damage dealt. So if you can roll up both of those on a couple of guys and swarm them on one melee guy, I think you can knock down their melee by quite a bit. And now this doesn't say how much it's reduced by. And that's something I haven't playtested yet, so it'll be interesting to see that. But that being said, let us continue. Piercer we've seen, Thousand Eyes we've seen, Clawfoot we've seen, Demon Soul we've seen, Crusher we've seen, Extra Limb Axe we have also seen. So I'm going to go ahead and pause here. It might be a little bit before we roll up the last few, so see you in just a moment. Oh my goodness, friends, this is looking sexy. Look at those freaking horns. Awesome. This is a head mutation called Wordstone Horns. Oh my goodness, why is that hard for me to say? Wordstone Horns. They look freaking awesome. I like the look of this a lot. So this increases Wordstone resistance by 50%, and on Wordstone Gathering gain a buff that increases magic resistance by 50% for 1 turn, which is not stackable. So that what it does is not super impressive to me. This guy would be your designated Wordstone picker-upper if you roll this mutation. And Smasher, we have also seen. That is the stun resistance of the enemy, and he happens to have claw feet, which again look badass on this guy, whereas they look like scrawny little chicken legs on the other guy. They look like a proper mutation on this Possessed. I'm looking over at the left here. This is a Possessed hero. So, I will pause it again. We've got, let's see, we've got Extra Limb Blade, we've got Slicer, and I think that is it. So we've covered just about all of them here. So I'll see you in just a moment for the last couple of mutations. Oh yes, friends, here it is, the Extra Limb Blade. Look at that freaking badass thing. These look just so cool, the way they've integrated them into the arms. So here's a club. I would not want to go up against one of these guys. They look dangerous. Okay, so this Extra Limb Blade, what this buys us is the 10% damage and reduced parry or dodge chances of the victim by 10%. I think that's the same for all of the extra arms, but what the blade gets us is an increased chance to perform criticals by 5%. So this would be really good for the skills that I've covered previously, which assist in crit damage. If you're stacking crits a lot, you want an Extra Limb Blade. Yes, you do. So we've got just one left. It's a sword arm attachment, which is called Slicer, and I will continue rolling and see you in just a moment. Alright, so I didn't find it yet, but this looks freaking badass, so I just had to show you guys. It is awesome. We've got Destroyer and Executioner, along with a Featureless Face. This guy looks so intimidating. He looks like a badass dude. So I've got nothing constructive to say about it, except that these mutations look freaking awesome. So I'll see you in a minute. Yes, we found it at last. I re-rolled probably a dozen times or so, and we have found our last arm mutation, our last mutation out of all of them, and that is Slicer. So this applies a poison that, if not resisted by the victim, reduces melee resistance. So this is good for someone who just has resist all on melee. It looks frickin' sweet. So I will say that in addition to all of these mutations, I know this is pretty late in the video, but in this Phase 4 update, I'm sorry, Phase 5 Update 4, I keep saying both, I don't know what the official term is, but they've updated a few of the skills, and that is on the Mordheim wiki, and I'll see about putting a link in the description for you to go check that out if you so desire. And I'm going to start playing. There's a new map, there's a new couple of maps, and I still didn't cover the maps from Phase 4, so we got a couple of pretty sweet maps to do here. We got our Rank 10 Warband, so I'm looking forward to it, friends. We got some good stuff coming down the pipes here at Mordheim City of the Damned. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. If there's any of these that you like, or if you can think of any skills that these mutations that we've covered synergize with, go ahead and let me know in the comments. I'm really, really curious to start figuring out some sweet combos. So thank you so much for watching, friends. We'll catch you next time.